Colombians are very disappointed in us, Rebecca. The U.S. could hardly ask for a better ally in Colombia, but we're not doing a lot to return the favor, especially since we've shelved that Colombia Free Trade Agreement. Assistant U.S. Trade Representative Sean Spicer joins us now, and we're also joined by Cindy Venegas. She's a Fox producer with Colombian heritage. She's here to tell us what she's hearing from friends in Colombia about all this. Cindy, are we doing enough?
I don't think so, and I think when I got off the phone with my friends in Cartagena and my friends in Cali, they're really upset about this because when you open up a market to the U.S., it means that people who own U.S. companies will go down there and they'll get to see what the country's like, and they'll create jobs for Colombians, and that's what they were looking for. That's what they were looking forward to. They didn't, but like you said, they were disappointed. They thought that by coming down there to create businesses, the perception of Colombia would change in Americans' minds, and that's something that the people of Colombia really want.
And which they really need, because I think a lot of Americans have the perception of Colombia still as drug-infested, the Colombian drug lords. I mean, none of these movies out of the U.S. has helped Colombia's efforts in any way. And the proponents of the free trade agreement are saying, hey, this gives them a better opportunity to get away from that image and become a legitimate democracy, capitalist country.
You're completely right, Rebecca. I mean, when I talk to my friends here about going to Colombia, they say, aren't you afraid of kidnapping? Aren't you afraid of the theft and the murder? And I'm used to being down there, so I know that's not what it's about, but it's really hard for me to try to get my boyfriend to come down with me because he still has those things in his head. He's reading, that's what he's seeing in TV, that's what he's reading in the papers, and that's really not the way the country's moving. They want to progress, they want to embrace capitalism, they want the U.S. to come down there and help them energize their economy, and for that they're really disappointed in what's happened here this week.
How are Colombians handling Hugo Chavez's aggressive stance against them?
I think that when it came out that the FARC was in the briefcase that when the attack happened, they were a little bit upset at seeing that all of this stuff was happening in the media, and they were seeing that that Hugo Chavez was funding the FARC, and they want to create that separation, and they see the U.S. as an ally in that. But when we're not giving them the opportunity to grow as a country economically, they're saying, well, why are we a U.S. ally? And they're not helping us from that respect, when we see how Hugo Chavez is against what America stands for.
Let's bring Sean into this conversation. Sean, people at home are hearing all this talk about the Colombia Free Trade Agreement and the back and forth between the Bush administration and Democratic lawmakers. Explain where we stand right now with this agreement.
Absolutely. Well, since 1991, the U.S. Congress has voted to give Colombia duty-free access, almost virtual duty-free access to the U.S. market. What we were seeking to achieve through this free trade agreement is to allow U.S. companies to finally export down to Colombia duty-free. As was just mentioned, I mean, we've got 8,000 to 9,000 businesses that currently export down there. We could have allowed those things like tractors, beef and rice, apples, things like that we export from America that are made here by U.S. workers, farmers, workers, to get into the Colombian market and give the Colombian people things that we make here in America at a much cheaper price, and it would allow us to export more from America to create jobs here at home. I think we've been trying to bring members down to Colombia to show them what a great country it is, what a great people they are, how that country has really transformed itself under President Uribe. And over the past 6 or 7 months, this administration has led 8 congressional trips with 55 members of Congress to see the type of progress that was just being mentioned.
Now, how is it treated with the 3 candidates? You have Obama, you have Clinton, and you have McCain. What's the difference between the 3, and how are they handling the Colombian Free Trade Agreement?
Well, it would be a little improper for me to get into presidential politics, but what I will tell you is that clearly some candidates are recognizing that this is an important agreement for American workers to be able to export down there at a time when exports are driving our GDP and creating jobs here at home. And some candidates, I think, are appearing to pander to interest groups. But, I think that the real winners here right now are potentially that could be winners are the American people, the people who produce all the stuff that would go down there. And I think that if more people took the time to look at the trade agreement itself and to see what a great ally Colombia has been, this really would be a no-brainer. And I'm really not sure how anyone in America, elected or unelected, could oppose this.
All right.
Sean, thank you so much. We're going to have you back, and Cindy as well. And, as he was talking about the opposition with the presidential candidates, the labor groups, and that it steals American jobs and so forth. That's the the other side of it. And on tap next year on Happy Hour, we're going to check in with the Minionville correspondent, Sophie and Boo. It is Friday. It is Happy Hour.